everybody. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the CX Experience with Cloudlinx. We're very excited today. We are hosting one of our special partners, a company called Aircall. They are a CCaaS provider in this space, and what we're going to do today is we're going to do a quick webinar. It's a little different than our normal podcast kind of conversation, in that we have two people joining us from Aircall, Cary and Phil Neizvestny. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually show you the platform today after we do a couple questions, a little bit of Q&A. So thank you very much for joining us. Cary, thank you very much. Phil, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So for those of you that haven't met Cary before, Cary's the Cary, why don't you give us your title here so the people that can see can join, and then we'll jump into the content.
Okay. Well, I'm the director of channel sales in North America for Aircall. And I'm out of the Nashville area, though Aircall is based in the U.S. in New York. So,
great. And Phil, why don't you give us your title and let everyone know who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Phil. I'm an account executive here out of our New York office from Aircall. My job is basically to allow people to see the platform, and looking forward to guys today.
Great. I'm looking forward to it today. It's going to be exciting. So, obviously, as you can see from the beginning of the call, everybody, we've had some technical difficulties with some people working at home, scrambling back and forth into the environments that we're all most not comfortable in working sometimes. So I guess, Cary, let's jump right into it today. Why don't you talk a little bit about it? Talk a little bit about what you're seeing, the demand on you guys becoming with the COVID-19 pandemic that's threatening everybody. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're seeing, Aircall as a specialist in this space, how you guys are responding to it?
Yeah, and I think just to your point about us trying to get started, I think that's indicative of what we're experiencing. We're all kind of scrambling right now, and it's understandable. At Aircall, we're seeing an uptick in trials, obviously, as people are trying to figure out what tools they can use. They probably had a hard phone on their desk, and maybe some of the software applications were on their PC or the Mac that was at work. If they didn't have a laptop, most people have some type of mobile device these days. But yeah, there's a scramble towards trying to find solutions, and we're seeing that evidence of that is in the trials we've done. Traditionally, we do 7-day free trials for customers to kind of kick the tires and connect it to one of the CRMs or help desk tools that we use. We've extended that to 30 days in an effort to try to help people get up and running. So we understand there's a need there, and we're trying to help fill it.
Yeah, it's tremendous, right? I mean, we've seen this kind of explosion of work at home. As you can see, even some of the video quality right now sometimes gets a little degraded because there's so many people working from home. But this explosion of work at home requirements has impacted, I think, the contact center space tremendously. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look right now on into any of the distributors, you can't find a headset for sale. You can't find monitors for sale. You can't find a ton of equipment that would normally be very accessible for a work at home person just available. So the migration that you're talking about and the allowability for the integrations with existing environments is important. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what we're doing with the transition to work at home for a contact center. If I'm a work at home person today, and I wasn't yesterday, I had a contact center that was located on a premises in wherever, Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden I've got to get my people home. I've got to worry about integrations to take advantage of your offer. Can you tell me a little bit about your pre-built integrations? Like, what are you guys doing from an integration standpoint to ensure that people can get up and running quickly in this environment?
Well, I will say, unfortunately, for those businesses that have not already shifted to the cloud for their CRM platform, or for a help desk type platform, it's going to be very challenging. And those are likely the customers that are that have a phone system like a Mitel system or a VIA IP Office that has some ACD or call center functionality built into it. They can't just pick that up and take it home. So as those companies are evaluating business productivity platforms, like on the CRM side, we integrate with Salesforce.com, HubSpot, Zoho, Sugar CRM, Microsoft Dynamics 365. On the e-commerce, Shopify, customer with a K, Reamaze and some others. Since we have integrations that are pre-built with those, if a customer needs to set up a call center fast, like as in within minutes, they can sign up with service with Aircall, assign numbers and multiple geographies, multiple countries, multiple area codes, and we can guide them through that process, maybe help them get numbers forwarded that might traditionally be ringing at their office, redirect those to an Aircall number, and we can get them started very quickly and integrated to the cloud tools that they're using.
And I can do that in the portal. I can go to, I just want to be clear on that. I can go into the portal and assign numbers if I'm in New Jersey or I'm in Ohio.
Yes, yeah, and Phil's going to show that here in a little bit when we kind of look at the platform. But absolutely, you can. There's a cache of numbers there in every geography in the U.S. and I think we're in about 100 countries now.
That's fantastic.
Now, part of that, I'll say, part of that is due to, I talked about us being based in New York and the U.S., but Aircall was founded in Paris. So as Aircall, about 6 years ago, so as Aircall grew out of France, they went to Germany, went to the UK, went to Spain. And so we, by default, by the time we got to the U.S., we were a global company. We were already doing services in a lot of different areas, including Latin America, Australia, South Africa, all over.
That's fantastic. I think, Kevin, you're on mute, Kevin. Kevin's got a question he's going to lob out to you here now. We want to just go through a couple things on that front.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Sorry. So we know from your marketing team regarding that stand-up, they're saying that a customer could do that in 30 minutes or possibly even less, which I'm sure is not the ideal scenario for anybody. But
right.
Is that if you
maybe
maybe
let's say you have let's say you have a customer support team, a help desk, right? And you've been using Zendesk because that's the tool that you've gotten used to, and it's been helpful with dealing with your customers. And all of a sudden, those 10 people that are normally sitting at an office are having to work from home. So, and Phil's going to show some of this, how easy it is, but it's as simple as name and email and the Aircall administrator, and we help create and train the administrator. They can go in, assign a name, an email. That email is going to be sent to the customer support agent. They're going to log in. They can download the app on iOS or Android or the soft client on Mac or PC and start working. They can assign numbers in our portal if they needed a DID, or if they just need to assign them to the work group where maybe the toll-free numbers coming in, but literally it can be set up in minutes.
That certainly is something that I would imagine separates you from a lot of your brethren. And just from a macro standpoint, for anyone who's watching this who isn't familiar with Aircall, how would you sort of categorize your offering? Is it a pure CCaaS? Is it a CCaaS with elements of a CRM? Like which kind of swim lane would you kind of say you're?
Well, we call ourselves the phone system for modern business. In assuming the modern business is a business that's going to be using one of these cloud business platforms like Salesforce or HubSpot, or so we're for those teams that are customer facing, and or for enterprise work groups that are customer facing. So our ideal customer is somebody that's already using one of these cloud business productivity platforms that are out there. We're not to replace, we're not just here for dial tone purposes. We can provide basic phone services, but our value comes in our integrations. So I would put us in the category of CCaaS or, cloud-based call center solution. And that's really where we fit. We're not trying to, necessarily replace every basic UCaaS solution out there, because we add more value. More value is recognized through those integrations, and because they're already there, they're pre-built, and it's easy to stand up.
So as a close observer of this space, our team at Cloudlinx, we tend to see the UCaaS providers who are dial tone,
Hmm.
seats and functionality around those seats. And then there's another category of CCaaS providers, which is contact center
Hmm.
as a service, which is really more focused on providing the intelligent routing and integrations in various clouds. Aircall, from what I've seen and the experiences we've had with you guys, really seems to be kind of right between those two, taking probably the best elements of both in a single platform. Would I be kind of safe in saying that, or
Yeah,
no?
I think we're kind of a hybrid in between that. We offer elements of both. We've got your basic features that you expect with a soft phone client, like the ability to do the conferencing and seeing if somebody's on the phone or not, and all the things that you would expect from a phone system.
Sure.
But also the additional ability to do tagging and take notes in the call. That information is pushed directly into the CRM that we have an integration with. But yeah, so kind of in the middle, but leaning towards call center, I would say.
So then,
Sure.
why don't we do this then? Why don't we jump into the demo? We've got Phil.
Okay.
Phil has been amazingly patient, amazingly calm. Not looking to jump in here. I appreciate that, Phil. Listen, Phil, the floor is yours. Why don't you take us to the demo and you start sharing that, and we can go through what you want to show the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for that intro. So let me go ahead and share out my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
We're good.
Perfect. So just to set a quick agenda, what I want to do first is I'm going to walk you through the phone app itself. Then from there, I'll jump into Salesforce. And actually, I think what we're going to do for today is we're going to just do the demo in Salesforce, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. And then from there, we'll end up in the admin dashboard, which is going to be the management component. And this is what you're looking at here on the right-hand side. So jumping into Salesforce quick. As you can see here, this is going to be our standalone app that's available for both Mac and Windows. And then we also offer apps for iOS and Android. So looking at this app actually also lives as a CTI right within Salesforce. So any agents that are working within Salesforce don't even have to leave the Salesforce app. You can just stay right within the interface. So just to show you, these phone apps are exactly the same. They function exactly the same. So for today's purposes, I'm just going to be demoing the CTI app within Salesforce. So let me just log out of here. It's full screen, perfect. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to place a quick inbound call from my cell phone to my Aircall phone number. So you're going to be able to see what an inbound call looks like coming into an Aircall phone app. Bear with me here for a second. So as you can see here, when the call comes in, it's going to automatically open that contact record right within Salesforce. And then you can see exactly that the phone numbers match the contact. So I have Jonah Hill that's calling in my Phil direct line. However, if Jonah Hill was to call into another line that I'm associated with, such as like the main office or a sales or support line, I'd be able to see that up here. And then all the advanced phone functionalities are built right within the phone app. So I have the ability to mute a call, put it on hold. I have a keypad that allows me to go through any dial by name directories or IVRs, such as like a press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. We also give you the option to pause and resume your call recording. Of course, you can have call recording to be turned on as a standard and have this removed off of the app. This is really just meant, for e-commerce teams if you're taking down a credit card or any sensitive information, just to be sure that doesn't get included in the recording. But if you do want that recording, as mentioned, to be a standard, this can be removed off of the phone app.
So a lot of our clients do want the recording feature. It's part of the QA strategies. But
yep.
When it comes to the credit cards, either automatically turning it off is preferred. Giving the agents the control to turn it off sometimes gets a little dicey. Where do you guys play in this too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's something that can be customized through our API. Aircall has a very open and friendly API. You're allowed to be able to document and take a look at everything that's regards to the API. But it is a build out that is possible, that you can have that call recording to be automatically paused when a credit card is being given. But currently today, it's not an out of the box feature.
Okay, cool, great.
Awesome.
We do have some partners, third-party integration partners that we work with that, as Phil was mentioning, we have an open API, but also there's some other pre-built integrations that are probably coming on that, so that automatically scrubs that credit card information out of the recording, so it's not there.
One of the reasons we're fond of the Aircall platform for us is because it's so user-friendly and so open to coding. You know, it's so open in the API world. That's the reason why that's the reason why we signed on with you guys, because it allows a big breadth of functionality. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, Phil, keep going.
Yeah, definitely. So you have the ability to take notes on a call. So when a call comes in and you want to be able to take notes, or even on an outbound call, you know, for today, I'll just put testing 1, 2, 3. So that note will automatically sync into the call log, and I'll show you what that looks like in a few minutes. Coming into the tags and dispositions, so this is all going to be customizable and reportable right within the dashboard. These tags also do sync into Salesforce. So for example, if you have an SDR that's doing outbound cold calling, you have different options that you can pick for him. So for example, our team tracks any voicemails, positive versus negative connects, a demo scheduled versus no connects. So for example, you know, SDR left a voicemail, you have the ability to have that tag automatically push, and this is going to be reportable within the dashboard.
And you can add multiple tags, so that helps for other reporting that you're going to be doing in Salesforce as well.
Definitely. Yep. You can add multiple people onto calls. So if you're looking to start like a three-way call or a conference call, you have the option to do that here. Something else that's really cool about Aircall, and that's pretty, is that we offer very easy to use and ability to have the transferring features built right within the phone app. So you can see here, I can transfer a call to either a teammate, a contact, or an external phone number. You can see that my colleague Ainsley is available. So if I was to select Ainsley, I can have the option to actually talk to Ainsley first before transferring the call. So almost as a warm transfer, or I can transfer the call cold. So if they called the wrong department, can transfer that way. Or, you know, if it's one of Ainsley's accounts within Salesforce, but I happen to answer the call, I can just say, hey, I have this person calling in. Here's what the call is regarding, and then transfer the call that way. Any questions on the phone app here?
No, and I mean, I see this as sitting natively in Salesforce right there, right? And so this can sit in any of the CRM platforms that the client has themselves, right? It doesn't need to be in your screen. It can be anywhere.
Yeah, so there are different integrations that we offer our CTI through. Salesforce is one of them. Not all of our integrations are going to be offered through the CTI, but our native apps for both Mac and Windows are going to offer the same exact functionalities that you're seeing here within Salesforce. Instead of opening up that contact record, right within the caller insight, you'll be able to see that contact, and then within one click, it will navigate you right to that contact page.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Very functional.
Definitely. And all of our integrations are plug and play, so there's no further maintenance on them. Once you have it integrated, which takes maybe less than 3 minutes, there's no further maintenance on our integrations. So I'll go ahead and set myself to do not disturb so I don't get bothered for the rest of the session here. Give myself a quick refresh. So you can see here that call is going to automatically log to that contact record within inside of Salesforce. If I was to just click into here, I'm going to automatically see all of the information regarding that call. So you can see exactly who was the call to, who was the call taken by, whether there's an inbound or outbound call. And then all of a sudden, right here, you have access to the call recording link. Within one click, it's going to pull up that call recording. And all of our call recordings do live on Amazon Web Server links. So it just is a link that's embedded into your Salesforce. No data is being taken by that call recording.
Sounds great.
Cool. And then if you wanted to just see it in like a in a smaller view, you can just come here and hit the drop down, and you can just see the total duration. You get that call recording link, and then the notes will sync over here as well.
I got to tell you, you guys are winning the award so far for names of companies calling in. Jonah Hill was fine, but Stratton Oakmont that's a pull. That's a big pull.
There's a funny story behind that. Maybe one day.
I'll die to hear that. Once we can all get a beer together, I want to hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So that pretty much takes us through the integration. One other thing that I do want to show as well is that we do offer click-to-call capabilities through our Chrome extension. So you can see here that the phone number is highlighted in teal. within one click, it's going to automatically pull up that phone number right within the phone app. So no longer do agents have to go in and manually select number by number. I'll just show that one more time. If I even close out the phone app, one click, that number gets populated right in the app. That's a functionality there as well. So now to taking you to the actual admin dashboard. As mentioned earlier, this is only going to be for admins and supervisors. This is the management component. So jumping into the numbers tab, Aircall does have an amazing dedicated and porting team. So if you do have a number that you want to bring over, we have a team that's dedicated directly to that. They have that number that can be brought over within about 7 to 10 business days. But of course, we do give you the option to create new numbers. So at the top left-hand corner, create a new number. You can choose whether you'd like to create a classic line or an IVR. So a classic line is going to represent a direct user. This is great for direct lines. And IVR is going to be a press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. For today's purposes, I'll just show you classic line. Jumping in here, so you select the country. So as Cary mentioned earlier, we are available in 100 different countries. We can provision area codes and create phone numbers within 100 different countries, but I'll show you the US for today. You have the option to select whether you want a toll-free or a local line. So I'll select a local line. Let's look at New York, for example. Select New York, and then you have the options, so all the area codes within New York. So let's say I'm looking for like a 646 for a New York City area code, for example.
Right, I was going to give you extra points if you had 212 in there, but there's no chance of that.
Yeah, 212. So actually, so that's really, I'm actually happy that you brought that up. So if there is a number that you don't see in the dashboard, we could potentially provision it through one of our backend carriers. So upon request, it could potentially be an option to pull up that area code.
Okay, sounds great.
I talked to a partner the other day, Frank, that does have 212 numbers. So if that's desired, we can get them.
Yep. Now there's all these little pockets of people that have the hidden treasure troves of 212 numbers available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and vanity numbers as well. I mean, if somebody needed something to match the name of a business or an easy number to remember, we can. That it's just not automatic like the rest of the numbers are.
Cool. So then I would choose who wants to be associated to that phone number. So for example, it would be myself, and then I could just do it. I would name the number Phil, New York, direct. I would hit create number. And then what's going to happen from here is it's going to populate a new number for you using that 646 area code. You chose the user that's going to be associated to that number, and all of a sudden, this number is created for you, and you're able to start to be able to make and receive calls with this number right away. So going
That's
into
fantastic. I mean, that right there is super simple. I mean, I've seen SIP providers who can do something similar, but not CCAS providers doing that quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like just from a setup standpoint, you can be completely up and running with your team in under 30 minutes.
That's great.
And I'll show you what it looks like to add.
I mean, that's the basic setup, or is that that's not with an integration, obviously, but that's the basic setup to get a contact center and take calls.
Oh no, that's with the integration. The integration takes maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Phil was kind of sure where that the admin just needs to go in and associate Aircall with the HubSpot, for example, or Salesforce in the case that Phil showed earlier. But it's since they're pre-built, it's just a matter there's a basic set of integration functionality there. It automatically starts working. Like in Salesforce, there's a basic reporting in Salesforce with the information collected from Aircall.
That's
so it
awesome.
creates a dashboard. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great. Let's keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just pull up a line to show you how call routing works. So you can see here, this is going to be the tree. When a call comes in, you can have it set those custom business hours, but of course you can always have the line be open or closed, and then you can create business hours. So if there's different days that you operate different hours, have that set, and then the routing will follow those rules. So when a call comes in, it will follow those custom business hours. If it was after those business hours, it will come to the after hours voicemail box, which is going to be customizable either through text to speech, or you can upload an MP3 and have that custom file be played. But of course, if it was during open business hours, you can set a welcome message, you can add waiting music, And then so you can route calls either by a team. So as a user, you can be associated to multiple teams, or you can add to a user to be as an individual in part of the call routing. So you can see here that it's going to ring our US inbound team, which is a team of 2 users randomly for 1 minute. But of course, you have the option to jump in here and change it to simultaneous and then set a duration period of time. So just as a background, every 20 to 25 seconds is about 3 rings. So you can plan according that way. Let's say the US inbound team is unavailable. It will then ring our US SDR team, which is a team of 10 users simultaneously for 20 seconds. But let's just say I wanted to add myself as the last line of defense, just to show you how easy it is. You can come into here, hit add. You don't need to contact support. This is all self-service. As your business needs change, you're able to scale up and down with them. So I would click here to add myself. Oops. I have my computer blocking that button. There we go. So I added myself here as a last line of defense. But of course, if I wanted to be first person in line, all I'd have to do, take myself, drag myself to the top, and this does update in real time. I'm now going to be that first person in that call queue. And then if no one was available, it would then come to the open mailbox here for the voicemail. And then one thing that's really cool that sets us apart is that we actually have the ability to send and trigger emails with voicemails. We can also push all of this into Slack. So I know that Slack is a big tool that's used by a lot of teams. If you want to like trigger voicemails in a specific channel to making sure that those aren't missed, you have the opportunity to do so in a system like Slack.
Yeah, that's great. Another integration that seems very simple for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Coming into the team tab here.
A question, and actually, a question just came in. Are you storing the Slack integration? Are you storing the Slack messages as part of this client journey for the information on the client journey, or is that Slack information kind of lost to the crowd?
Well, what it does is it's just pushing. It's a one-way push. So Aircall will just push the call data into Slack. So for example, like if you wanted to like see any voicemails or incoming calls versus a total feed of calls, there is no way to report on that. But what like in terms of Slack, but
yeah,
in regards to reporting, like all of that in all of our reports and all of our data is separated by commas, meaning that you're going to have the ability to look at how many outbound calls, how many inbound calls, what percentage of the calls are being missed due to not being in business hours. All of that information does get tracked. So you are able to report on the activities that's happening, but the information that gets pushed into Slack is just a one-way sync.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, cool. Coming into the team tab here, you have the option to create teams, which, as I showed you earlier, can be used for call routing. But just wanted to show you how easy it is to create a user and really get up and running. In the top left-hand corner, create team or user, create a user. All you need is a first name, so last name. You would give them access to, if you want them to give them access to the admin portal, you would select that. You can invite them with a number, or you can invite without a number, hit invite without a number, and that's automatically going to create a new user. It will then prompt an email to this email that was put in here. Aircall can be downloaded up and running within about 3 to 4 minutes.
That's great. You know, that it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's obviously like right now, if I was running a business, if I'm running a business right now, and I'm struggling with VPNs, I'm struggling with bandwidth requirements. I mean, how much is the average interaction taking? Well, actually, 2 questions on that front. One, how much is the average interaction taking in bandwidth between you guys and the platform? Assuming it's a regular SIP call to your platform, I just want to confirm that. But it seems like it can replace some struggles that you're having with VPNs and the like, and just download this quickly, and you can set up your office with 10 or 50 people real easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to answer your first question, and I'll touch on the second point, for bandwidth, we recommend 1 megabyte up, 1 megabyte down in download speed for the internet. That's really the requirements and that's per user, of course.
Sure.
And that's the requirements for bandwidth. But to touch on that second point, you brought up something interesting there. I recently worked with a customer that had to like make changes to call routing, and every time he'd have to make a change, he'd have to call into the provider, get somebody on the phone. He said it would spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours just to make one small change in call routing. Like, I never really realized the beauty and the ease of this until actually speaking with him and just being like, really? Like, for me, I was more of the modern age and never really had to deal with the setup of a of a complex system. So for me, like, I was kind of like taken back by that. But even like something simple as like going into a CRM and creating a call log, like that takes 3 to 4 minutes. Like, this is done instant. So imagine the
Yeah.
amount of time that this is saving, not only like reps, but the admins themselves. If you take a step back to really think about that, it's quite amazing.
You're kind of showing some
And
of the
I'll
difference
say,
between a legacy premises-based
mhm,
supplier who's probably migrating to the cloud versus the CCaaS providers as a whole, because most of the CCaaS providers have a capability like we're talking about now to get this done. Those legacy providers, those premises-based suppliers, they struggled mightily with this.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And then just
this
wanted
is
to,
the main reason. I just wanted to say real quick, Bill.
yeah, of
This is
course.
the main reason that that drew me to Aircall was the ability to do these things as quickly as possible. Like you said, a lot of CCaaS providers have automated a lot of this and combined the trunking aspect of things with the call center software aspect of contact center. It kind of brought it together, created portals, and simplified it to a certain extent. But with Aircall provides this auto provisioning feature and literally the integrations that Phil will show in a second, where how easily it is to associate those with an Aircall instance. I'd never seen anything that was quite this fast, and I thought, wow, this is, when you're thinking about tools of the future, it's in an environment like we're in right now. What happens when you have to, in mass, work from home? You need to have these kind of tools. So it's
I agree.
very helpful.
No, I mean the pandemic, like again, dating us here right now, right? We've got this COVID-19 situation right now. It seems like there's been a flood of information out there of suppliers saying, "Hey, we'll do a free trial, blah blah blah." It's all there. Everyone's trying to be helpful, but they're also trying to get into it with these trials. The struggle that I see is people still have to go through that evolution internally of saying, I still don't have the experience to do this. I still struggle with how I'm going to do this. What knowledge do I have to do this? What integrations do I have to worry about? How's this going to impact other things? It seems like you guys have made this all really push and play. So in a response situation, you guys are ideally suited. And in a normal everyday setup, those simplicities are going to carry forward here. Are you guys
And
on? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as just thinking of it in terms of the customer journey, like a customer journey right now that are trying to establish a distance working or work from home scenario and trying to figure that out as they trial Aircall and kick the tires, see how it integrates with their CRM platform and those kind of things, and they think, okay, yes, this is what I want to go forward with. A rep like Phil or one of our other ones, they kind of walk them to that point and negotiate, whatever the pricing is and all that kind of thing. And then at that point, we hand the customer over to an onboarding and customer success team, right? So we're not just, here, you've got it now go figure it. Call us if you have any questions. We literally start scheduling a cadence of onboarding and help them with best practice and guide them through it, because we have a team that's sitting there, using the Aircall platform that's guiding our new customers as they're trying to get the most out of it. So it's kind of it's all virtual, right? It's all remote, but it's kind of a white glove treatment, and they're not left on their own. So customer sat is a big deal to us at Aircall. So that team is dedicated to that customer, and there'll be an individual assigned to that each customer that comes in to Aircall.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Cary, this is why you and I get along. That's exactly what I was going to say next. Is that with Aircall you do get that white glove service, and it's truly, just from every step of the process, as Cary was just mentioning. So it's I'm happy that you brought that up, because it was something that was just top of mind for me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Frank, I know that did you have a question here as well, or should I proceed?
No, I'm good to go. You answered my question. I'm good to go.
Awesome. So we just have one thing left here. And of course, last but definitely not least, the historical analytics. So being able to jump into here and see all of the data from a historical standpoint. So what I mean by that is you can filter from a date range, whether you want to look at something that happened today, yesterday, this week, last week, or if you really want to get granular and select a specific, let's say 2 months or even 2 days, having the option to really just like select a custom date range. If you want to look at specific data, we give you the option, but just to show you what happened last week, you can see last week there was about 8,900 calls that were made in total, and then you get a breakdown inbound versus outbound. So about 2,100 were inbound and about 6,700 were outbound. Then, as mentioned earlier, we also track missed call percentages, and we start to understand why your calls are being missed. And then we give you some suggestions as to how to improve that. So, for example, last week you can see 5.8% of our calls were missed because they were outside of our business hours. So, Aircall is going to suggest to reduce this. Consider changing your business hours. So, just really from a customer-centric standpoint, really starting to understand how your calls are being missed and trying to always provide that great service to your customers. We give you the opportunity to start to learn and delve into those metrics.
It's not the data; it's what you guys are doing with the data. You guys are giving us some flexibility here
Mhm.
to see it. Are there any
Mhm.
other types of metrics like this that you could show simply enough as an administrator? Are there any other things that you're doing with the data that we could leverage here quickly?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll touch on that in just about 30 seconds. Jumping down here, one more thing I just want to show you is we offer a productivity scoreboard. So you can see who's that top performer. So for like an outbound sales team, who's making the most outbound dials, or if it's an inbound, just to be able to understand what the traffic is like. And then we show you a breakdown as to the calls that are being made per person versus the average talk time per call. But jumping into what you were just asking, so if we were jumping to our more advanced analytics, you could actually drill down into specifics, whether you wanted to look at a specific date range or you wanted to look at a specific phone line, a teammate, a team, or a tag that can get created. And then all this information can be exported either into a CSV, which can be accessible within Excel, or you can push all of the data into a BI tool, such as like a Periscope or a Looker, right through our API. Does that answer that question, Frank?
It does. It does. I mean, a lot of people are using, and again, I know you have integrations with a variety of QM engines, right? So this data export is valuable, but um, having the information here and being able to give it to us is valuable, right? So Looker and whoever the other name you mentioned, I forgot who you just mentioned there in your example.
Periscope,
Periscope,
Power
Periscope.
BI.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are all
the kind.
valuable. It's key here to be able to take that information and do stuff with it, right? I know
Mhm.
as you guys build out your modules, but again, seems quick, seems easy. You've got the module built out. It's easy to do.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Then one last thing that I wanted to show you, which is my personal favorite, is going to be the activity feed. This is going to show everything that's happening in real time. So we saw the historics. This is going to be the real time. You get an SLA as to what's currently happening. So you can see that the total number of calls that are currently in the queue, the total number of missed calls within the last half hour, the longest wait time, and then the average wait time within the last hour. And something else that's really cool. So you could see here that the different reps that are currently in calls. So for example, my colleague Brandon's in a call, and I have the option to coach Brandon just by selecting this coach button. It's going to pull up a new window. This window will allow me to jump in and whisper into Brandon, meaning that I can speak to him without the prospect or the customer hearing what I'm saying. So this is really great when you're onboarding a new rep or you wanted just to help someone feel more comfortable on the phones or even just getting through some objections. This is really great. It allows managers to speak to the team. We also offer this in incognito mode, meaning that you can join in. The rep has no idea that you're in there and you just want to make sure that best company practices are being followed or you're doing like a QA check or something along those lines. So this is something that allows to coach the team and help users really feel comfortable on the phones.
Can you score them right here? Can you give them a score? Hey, you're a 9 out of 10, or can we do this out of this window, or is that not there yet?
That's not something that we offer today out of the box, but that is really interesting. I haven't heard that request before, but it is definitely. I understand exactly where you're going with that. I will. I'll make a suggestion to the team in product ideas.
And again, I want to draw the distinction. There is a distinction between what Aircall's doing and the simplicity of the platform and how it's streamlined and how it's quick and clean and easy for people to do what they need to do. A lot of the things that we get involved in are some of the other modules that you guys have built integrations to. So that's more of a QM type thing where there's a quality management engine
Mhm.
that's saying, hey, I've graded this, I've scored it, I've annotated it. These are things that you guys have integrations to make it easy. So I'm not so concerned that it's not there right now, but it's going to drift into QM where you guys are saying we stay in our swim lane. We're doing this. We're doing this CCAS solution here as this. This is great. I mean, I think this is valuable.
Definitely. Yep. So
Yeah,
that pretty
similar
much.
to that, I was just going to bring another point. Like, a lot of questions we get are, do you guys have live chat or web chat, omni-channel type things? And we don't do web chat, but we have, like, Intercom is one of our pre-built integrations, and Intercom has the web chat that, you know, the agents are using Intercom. There's an integration to Aircall. If that web chat needs to escalate to a voice call, the integration with Aircall allows for that, right? So we're not trying to duplicate what other companies are already doing. We're just trying to be that escalation point where they can, you know, take it to voice and have that call.
Yeah, and I think as you look at that, you shouldn't look at it as, you know, what you're not trying to do. In my mind, it's as much what you are trying to do. You've built a simplistic integration to these platforms. You haven't made it difficult. You've opened it up, and it's easy for people to do. I think it's great in how you've set it up. I think it's great with the intent of what you're doing. It's purpose built, and it's accomplishing its task.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I think really what really sets us apart is that we are a really easy to set up and easy to use phone system. Our apps are meant to be super user friendly, and they allow someone who is extremely tech savvy to someone who is not really tech savvy at all to feel comfortable being able to answer and make calls. So I think that in regards to just an accessibility, a scalability, and a usability is something that really allows Aircall to set themselves apart. Just from how easy it is and how beautiful our product and the UX and UI is.
No, I agree. I agree. I agree. What I'd like to do is if you have any links to the features or any links to software integrations, I'd like to see that because I'd like to be able to show them to people because as kind of we've gone down this road of the simplicity of the platform and the ease of the integrations. Let's see if we can show that in the window. Let's see if we have that. If not, we'll get them into the post-production for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually already have it pulled up. If you go, let me just show you how I got there.
Almost like we rehearsed this.
No, let me just show you how I got there. So if you were to go to aircall.io, click on the app marketplace, you'll be able to see all of our integration partners. So you can see some of the featured ones. And then we also break it down whether you're looking at a CRM or you're looking at an e-commerce tools. So we have it all broken down into categories. But just jumping into like a CRM, for example, so an AML CRM, a Copper, like Fresh Sales, HubSpot, Dynamics, Salesforce, Pipedrive. I mean, we offer 50 different CRMs and help desk integrations out of the box. And it is something that I know that is continuing to grow as as the days go on.
There's 50 out of the box?
50 out of the box today, yeah.
50 out of the box.
And again, that's fantastic. I mean, I've seen guys struggling with just more than one.
And really, as mentioned earlier, it's all plug and play. So once you just enter in the credentials of the login and you authenticate it and authorize the usage of it, there is no further maintenance on it. And I know something that is that allows other like providers, you know, that they have to manage the integration or they have to make sure that they're doing upkeep on it. For us, like as mentioned earlier, it's literally just a plug and play.
Phil,
That's great.
If you could go to the dashboard and just show where that happens on the Aircall side, I think that's
just
one
before
thing
we go to the dashboard.
Yep.
Just before we go to the dashboard, if you don't mind, can we go back? I want to see the QM portion because we've talked a lot about QM today. And as I'm looking at the screen, you've got the QM integrations right there. I'd like to just show that on the screen real quick as well.
Sure. Where did you want me to navigate to? I'm sorry.
No, just the quality assurance tab. Those are some categories you have for integrations, correct?
Yeah.
Quality assurance tabs, yes.
Yeah. And those, okay, so yes, you're right there. So that's the QM you have integration with pre-built right now.
Correct.
Correct.
And if we said we want to go to Luminor or Calabrio, we could do that pretty quick with you guys, right?
Yeah, right through the API integrate. We actually have training docs and knowledge-based articles that's going to help walk you through how to build that out.
So because it's not here, doesn't mean it's not easily done. I mean, you guys are an open API platform, right? We can do this very easily.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, so let's go, Cary. Why don't you take back over? I just wanted to hit that up because I knew where the integrations were. I just wanted to make sure that we said how easy it was to get open integrations to anybody that's not there.
Right. And I just wanted Phil to show where the pre-built integrations were in our Aircall dashboard. If you've got that dashboard up there, yeah. So this is why it's so easy to do this, right? These are pre-configured, pre-built integrations to all the, and of course this is the Aircall one, so there are tons that you'll see in here. But if you needed to add, let's say Job Adder as an example, and you were also using HubSpot, this is where you would go in. The admin would log into Job Adder as admin and log into HubSpot as admin, and then our backends sync Aircall to HubSpot and Aircall to Job Adder. So there's no limit to how many integrations you can have either, and we don't charge separately for multiple integrations.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And again, that's a CapEx expenditure that people don't want to get involved in now.
Right. Exactly. So I put as a reference, I put a couple links in the chat window. One is it goes to the pricing page, but it's more than just pricing. It talks about the pricing and the features that come with each category of pricing. We've got a basic level of service we call essential, excuse me, and that's starts at $30 per user per month. And then we've got a professional version, which is $50 per user per month. And excuse me, and then the link to the software integrations page that we were looking at that Phil was showing a second ago. I put both of those into the chat window.
That's great. That's great. I mean, Kevin, listen, we've been looking at this thing now for 35 minutes or so. I mean, this is, as far as ease of implementation, it's push button. As far as ease of integration, it's great.
If I could just jump in, some top level questions. I manage a few of our BPO clients, guys, and one of the questions that they actually sent in, we know you were sort of grown from a European company and you have an extremely strong European presence. Globally, insofar as DID origination and just overall reach, how far around the world do you go, and do you get into the Pacific Rim and parts of Asia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Latin America, every continent, I guess, but Antarctica. So we're pretty 100 countries, right? There are some that there's not as much demand for that we, obviously may not be looking to get into, but yeah,
maybe more
sure.
like a North
But you
Korea.
can do origination DIDs in the Philippines, Asia, Pacific
mm-hmm.
Rim. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Singapore.
That's great.
That's tremendous. And they can go into the portal and just turn them up.
Exactly. Or we have I talked about a customer support team. We have a porting team that's dedicated to, if you have a number that you need to keep and you need to get it ported over, we have a team that's dedicated to that, kind of take that mess out of the hands of the customer as well. And typically, 5 to 10 business days, we can get a number ported. But in the meantime, we can work with call forwarding to make sure that the calls are getting routed to Aircall and it's going to function the way they need it to right out of the gate.
That's great. That's great. Kevin, any other thoughts that you want to jump in on that question?
Nope, I'm good.
Because that question. Okay. Listen, I think we've taken up a lot of time. Cary, I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about quick, if there's any closing thoughts you want to have. Phil, I think this was great. So I'll kick it over to you, Cary, and then we'll kind of close out.
I think we've looked at it from a lot of different angles. I mean, the main thing that I try to instill in people when they're thinking about Aircall is the speed, the simplicity, and the scale, right? So you can scale up or you can scale back down. So we can in seasonal times for call centers, you need to go up and come back down. It's not a problem, and it's easy to administer. And the 3 S's: speed, simplicity, and scale.
Speed, simplicity, and scale.
Mm-hmm.
And just on that quick, just on that front, let me ask 2 quick questions, or 1 quick question actually. The scaling up and scaling down, a lot of the suppliers that we've seen in the industry now have, they'll let you scale up, and some of them actually charge a premium if you're scaling up certain features, and some of them don't want you scaling down below 2, 3, 5, 10% of your committed seats. Do you guys have any restrictions on commitments there? Or if I have 300 agents on Tuesday, can I go down to 100 agents on Wednesday without any penalties?
Well, as far as we're getting started, we would start with a baseline and assume that we wouldn't want to put a contract around, if we're at 50 users right now, but we think we might go down to 30 users over the next 18 months. We'll build something around a 30 user baseline where even though you're at 50 now, you're probably going to come back down. We're going to be flexible in that way. So we start at 3 users and go up from there. Obviously, the higher volume, better discounts and those kind of things come along with that, or longer term commitments, better discounts come along with that. But we want to start with a baseline that makes sense. And then, but obviously, if a customer is experiencing challenges like we're seeing right now, right? Businesses are on hard times, right? We're going to do our best to work with them. We don't want to gouge them. We want to keep them as customers. So we're going to work with them and maybe renegotiate contracts if that's what's necessary to help them through this time.
I love it. Phil, what about you? Any closing thoughts that you want to put in place? You've got a chance to do a lot of the talking today, so you may just be worn out.
No, see, good thing about us sales guys is that we can always keep talking, and don't tempt me with a good time, because I'll sit here and chew your ear off for the next hour. But no, it was Frank, Kevin, Cary. It was a pleasure being here today. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed showing you the product. Just one last closing thought is, obviously being as part of the team and working with all the individuals, we have a truly amazing team. And I know that we talked this about earlier, but just every step of the way is white glove service. From the second that one of our inbound reps takes the call to then getting you pushed over into a demo and seeing the product, to then to an account setup and a trial setup, then to actually becoming a customer and getting onboarded and having a team to help you do that. And we really want to make sure that your experience with Aircall is going to be top notch. And our team here is incredible. Everyone works super hard. So, make no mistake that we are a group of hardworking individuals that really want to make sure that all of our customers are happy and satisfied. So, like I said, it was a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to potentially staying in touch and building a professional relationship in the future.
That's great. Guys, thank you very much. Kevin, you want to close out? Do you have any thoughts?
Nope. Thanks very much, guys. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for the T-shirt, obviously, and thank you for joining us on the CX Experience. Talk to you all in a bit.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.